Pernille.
I
Hello.
think I missed her. Oh, wait, I gotta mute that.
I thought I did.
Yes. No.
Oh, done. Good to see you here.
Where's your where's the mute on here?
Is that better?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
better.
good. Good. Oh, let's see who's here. Oh, it's so nice. So nice. Kelly, welcome. First time here. Good to see you. Oh, and Catherine and Karen, welcome.
Hi,
First time here. Good to see you.
Hi.
Melanie. Hi. And Katie. Oh, we have a lot of new people here. That's really wonderful. Oh, and Liz, good to see you back. And Petra. Linda.
Actually, I have a
And
second.
Jackery. Good to see you. That's first time here as well.
Welcome.
Hi.
Oh, that's confusing.
What is?
Well, this is page 2 of 2, but when
Yeah.
I go over there, oh, right, are they?
No, it's more people.
Yeah, but like it's mostly the same people. That's really
No,
weird.
I think it's
Like, because like Debbie is there on the bottom, and then she's there on the bottom again, but in a
it's
slightly
because
different
we love Debbie extra much. So
spot.
she
She's there
gets two
twice.
pages. She get 2 pages. Some
Yes.
people here, they have such a big personality that
They get-
Zoom is automatically giving them 2
they get
pages.
2 pages. That's incredible.
So you can test to see if you have a big personality if you're on both pages. Yeah, no idea why
That's
that
so
is.
interesting.
So let the two people
Right.
in.
Yeah. Maybe.
So good to see you. Hi, Anne. Happy you're here. And Sophie and Sebastian. Still in Nicaragua. It's amazing.
No.
And Gitte from Italy. It's so nice. It's like getting a little glimpse in. Oh, and Sis, hello.
Oh,
Hi.
hello.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, there you are. Hi. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So we have a lot of new people. And I hope that we're not gonna scare you off with what we're gonna do today.
We're doing something very different than we've ever done. So
Yeah.
perfect time to show up. A day that is completely not indicative of the normal group. So make sure you come back again in 2 weeks.
What did you
I'm
do?
trying to like make us
It's not there.
wait, do we have to gallery
No,
or do we have to
no.
speaker view this?
If you go up and there. Okay, just to make sure that everybody knows, this is not our peak.
This is right.
If you go up on our picture there, and the little 3 dots.
Hold on a second. Let me go back to gallery view first of all. Okay.
Little 3 dots. And
So,
then you go pin. There we
okay,
go.
that works. Technology.
You nailed it, babe.
You nailed it. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do something a bit different today. And if it's the first time you're here, we really hope it's not going to scare you off in any way. It's not what we normally do. It's because we're at the moment we're making material and working on the retreat that we are going to have from the 10th to the 16th of June. And what we want to do with the retreat is to make an embodiment of all the feathers. When we work with non-duality and non-self, and we work with the feathers, it's 10 different ways to identify. And we talk about that in all the lessons and in all the videos that you have with us. But what you probably have experienced is that very often when you're working with something, there's always like a visceral experience of it. There's always a contraction in the body. There's always a a sensory experience. So when we work with shame, you can feel it here in your chest. Or if we work with the fifth fetter of aversion, all the things we don't want, you feel it in the solar plexus, in the stomach, like anger that is like bubbling up in you. And that is what we describe as a feedback loop that is going between a sensory experience that is happening, something is happening in the body. And when that is very, very uncomfortable to be with, for example, let's say anger, you have a contraction in the body that is really icky to be with. And then a feedback loop is starting. There's a diversion happening from that feeling in the body that is so icky. And it goes into a thought that says, this is anger. Then there are like 3 different ways you can react to that. Like, this is anger. It's not about me because this is too eager to be with. It's you. Yeah. If Todd, he only la 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 la. And then I'm diverting from the feeling, from the feeling in the body. Instead of just staying with that icky sensation, I believe the thought, and I believe that is something outside of me. Then obviously we work with noticing that everything you experience and that you think is happening on the outside of you, what you think you see, what you think you hear, what you think other people are doing, all of that is just a reflection of you. It's your bubble of reality. Whatever you think is happening out there is just a projection of you, which means that now it starts to get really, really icky, because that icky sensation you have in the body is still doing the feedback loop up to the mind that is telling you that this is about anger. But now we told you it's not about anybody outside. It's not about Janice. It's about you, which means that it needs to stay here. You need to be with that anger. So what we normally do is to work with that feedback loop. So you feel the anger that is happening. You allow it to grow bigger and bigger and bigger in your body. Then you detach the label of anger and just sit with the sensation in the body. And that is what we have been trying to avoid for 40 years. We do not want that icky sensation in the body. So when we're just allowed to sit with it, and you do not try to change it in any way, you do not try to make a story about it, this is because of my childhood or anything like that, you just sit with the physical sensation in the body and just allow that to be, then the body is allowed to be felt for the first time in your life. And for a lot of people, that is, again, super, super scary. So you go up to the thought, start a new feedback loop about a little story about it. And every time that happens, you just detach the story, just sit with the sensory experience in the body. And when you do that, it takes between 7 to 11 seconds. Then it's done. Normally what happens is that it moves from being here in the solar plexus with anger to maybe going into the throat and feeling more like, sadness. When that happens, when that move is happening, you just stay in the body. You don't go into the mind and go, now it's sadness. Yeah. Now I'm sad. And it's because of my childhood, because that would just be diversion. Stay in the body. Stay with the experience in the body where you just, feel it in the body. So all of that is happening all the time. And that is what we work with when we work with the fetters. It's about noticing that very subtle identification that is happening all the time, and then picking it apart so you see it for what it really is. Now, that is what we normally do. What we want to do with the retreat, which is different, is that instead of coming from the thought side of it, like, for example, what we do when we talk about it in the meetings or in the lessons, that is like the thought side of it. We would like to come from the body side of it. So we would invite you to open up for the experience of just being in a body. Just that on its own can be immensely provocative, immensely challenging, because so many things are happening that we don't want to feel. And what we normally do is we then go into the mind and start to think about shopping or what am I going to eat later, or, so we divert with the mind all the time. But we would just invite you to stay in the body and just notice what is happening in the body. And that is what we are right now making material for the retreat. Now, way back 100 years ago in 1995, I was finished my education as a psychomotoric therapist. So I've been doing this for a lot of years. But we have started a lot. I've forced Todd to do a lot of exercises because we're trying out to see what works for the retreat. Yeah, he's been the happy recipient of a lot of exercises. But before you start to talk about your experience about it, I would just say that a thing that's really important when we work with the embodiment is to remember the seventh fetter. The seventh fetter is about when we do something out of nothing. And that is what often happens when if you sit and you meditate and suddenly the body starts to shake, then you very, very quickly go up in your mind and saying, "Ooh, that's because. But that would be a seventh fetter, something out of nothing. Detach that. It's just a body shaking. It's just a body shaking. The other thing we tend to do when we do the body exercises, that is the sixth fetter. That you find yourself, for example, if I ask you right now to put your hand on your chest and just massage, very, very softly massage around the heart, not sticky fingers, but like a soft fingers on your chest and just massaging. The first thing you will feel is that your mind starts to observe what is happening, right? You will start to feel how it feels in the body, how it feels in the fingers, if you feel that it's letting go other places in your body. And it's basically what we're told when we do body exercises, feel into the body, but that is actually sixth fetter. It is where we put ourselves in a position of a subject that is observing. So it's not saying that you shouldn't do it, but just be aware that that is happening. That very subtle identification is happening. The other thing we would like for you to also be aware of is that the second fetter is starting to happen, where that is about feelings and emotions. So just you sitting and massaging your chest, you might get like feelings of sadness, you might get feeling of happiness or giddiness, lots of energy, you might get lots of feelings. If you start to believe in the feelings, that is the second fetter. So just know that a feeling, it's a sensory experience with a thought attached to it. If you detach the thought, it's just a sensory experience. And the last thing that happens is the first fetter about the separate self and I, where this is happening to. So if you start to cry or laugh, we tend to walk into the first fetter, which is about the separate self, and going like, "Oh, I am laughing, I am crying. It is happening to me," as if there's someone separate that this can happen to. None of that is possible. None of that is possible, but it's just really activating all the different types of identification that we do. And that's why we love doing the embodiment stuff.
Yeah, and it's also being aware during all those things that you just said of if you're collecting the information to tell other people about later, or if there's the feeling of like, I'm achieving this is what the other people are talking about, and having some sort of feeling of attainment or goal about it, and again, making it into something more than just what it really is, because you're building up this identification based on the one who has now had this experience and who has now let go of all of these things, and who has brought up this memory of something that happened when you were 6 years old or whatever. And it's all different layers of identification that we build onto the actual experience of just the body crying, the body moving, shaking,
laughter happening,
happening, something just being released. So it's really just, like you said, coming down to allowing whatever happens to happen without making any sort of extra story about it or putting anything more into it.
And the thing is that our nervous system, as all mammals, we have a nervous system that whenever something is happening to us that is a bit too much for us, like it's a bit too much because it's outside of what is happening on a normal Tuesday. Whenever something outside of the normal is happening, you probably have seen it with dogs, that if a car is coming and it's honking its horn, the dog will be startled, and then it will shake, and then it will be moving on, and everything is fine. And all mammals do that. All mammals. It was it's I think Peter Levine actually that is observing that with polar bears, that they wanted to. I can't remember how it really was. They wanted to tranquilize polar bears, to mark them or something, so they could see how they their patterns, how they lived and where they moved and stuff like that. And he noticed that when the polar bear started to come out of the sedation, it would shake as if it had an epileptic seizure. So it's that the same as a dog does, where it just shakes, and then it would just walk up and be completely fine. And we as humans are the same. When something happens and we're startled, we want to shake too. Being at the dentist, we want to scream and shake while we're lying and having a root canal. But we've been socialized. We've been told to be good little girls and good little boys, and then we get a little toy afterwards. So we've been socialized and been taught not to do that. And every time in your life where you've been startled, or you've been traumatized, or you've been, abused, hit as a child, whatever has happened to you, every single time, your body has wanted to shake, has wanted to stim it and move it out. That flinching that we have, as children, if we have experienced physical abuse, we have like that flinching where we are pulling away from that. That becomes how your shoulders are like this all the time, because they have never ever been allowed to shake. So it's also what we would like for you to do. We call it noodle dancing, but we're gonna do it. It's where I think it's also called like intuitive dancing and moving. Yeah. We call it noodle dance because we look like soft noodles when we're moving. So we call it noodle dance. So it's that soft movement where you allow the body to move the way that it's moving. Yeah. That was a lot of words.
That was. It was a lot of very helpful words.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
So what we would like for you to do is, like we normally do, we go into soft meditation, we go scan through the body, and then we get to like the 6 directions. If you have not seen through self, feel free just to stay there. You don't need to do any of the other exercises if you don't feel like it. And at any point, if you don't want to do anything, or if it starts to feel too much, you can just open your eyes, or lift your shoulders, take a few deep breaths, and that's it.
Yeah, and also if you feel like you have any sort of emotional instability at the moment that would make it counterintuitive to do something like this, if you don't feel like you're in a safe place to do this, then what we're doing, it's not
something we're building up as if it's something. It's not.
No, but it's just to be, if you're and the reason why is like, I had experience.
Tell about your experience.
All right, so I had experiences like this back in college. Didn't realize what they were. I had never heard of, Kriyas, Kundalini, or anything like that, which would have put it into kind of a mystical context, but at least given some. I thought, I was maybe going crazy or something because I had no idea what it was. And then kind of fast forward some years later, and then I realized that if I would just completely let go of the body, like lose that executive sense of control, that it would just, and if I was feeling into it, it's not just like sitting there with the mind kind of blank, but feeling into spots in the body, especially around the heart area or something, it would be like things would just kind of start to shake or jolt or move. And so there were periods where I just went with that spontaneously. But again, it could kind of felt like I was being possessed, because like it could get really,
But in Christianity, we say that is being possessed. We say, and when people, they go like, blah, 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 like relaxing everything. Oh, they're speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
So it is, something is created out of nothing.
Yeah.
In other directions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But at the time I had like no context for it, and I didn't know this was like a thing. And so it was just kind of like, okay, that's weird. And, it feels really good when I do it, but yeah, I'm not sure if that's safe or not. And then it was like, internet research showed that like there were things that you could do like this, and that there was intuitive dancing and things like that. And I only dabbled a little bit here and there with it. But then, like you were saying, recently getting ready for this, we've been doing a lot of different types of it. And it's amazing the stuff that was still stored in the body that I had no idea was still in the body. And the power that it has in coming out. But again, it's just like sitting down, knowing this is the time that, we're going to do these exercises, and then giving it the space for anything to happen to happen. And then afterwards, it's just right back to normal. And it's not like, infiltrating into the rest of life or something like that. Um,
No, but
that,
it's for example, just by doing shaking exercises and roaring and all of that, your lower back has been loosened.
well, that was the thing. Yeah. Like I've had for weeks, the low back has been like, just like a rock. It's been really tight and I didn't know what was going on. And it was the first time that we did the sort of rocking over the pelvic bone, thing that we're going to be doing in the retreat a lot. And it just builds up to this kind of swaying, moving thing. And there's just this huge amount of like very loud screaming. I'm a very quiet, this is how I talk most of the time. Like I'm not a loud person. And it was just, I'm surprised the cops weren't called, honestly. It was very loud. And after that, the low back was like the pain was gone. It was so released. For days, it started to come back a little bit again, but we've done more stuff with it. But it's just absolutely fascinating to see what has just been stored in there. But there's no content of it where it's not like, oh, I remember this was from this incident, or that there was some emotional whatever to it. It's just something that's been stored in the body and just has to have the
It's all the times you've been startled, or you have, it life didn't turn out like a normal Tuesday, and
yeah,
something happened and you just really needed to shake and you haven't.
yeah,
It's just that is stored in the body, and it just needs to be,
yeah.
and then it's sorted.
It's really, really incredible. But I say that because, I give the warning for it only because it can be disturbing if you're not used to doing this sort of thing, or if you're trying to put it into a particular mystical context or something like that. It can seem kind of otherworldly and strange, because it does feel like, especially if you're used to having the feeling of having control over your body, you suddenly really have a very clear evidence that you are not actually, well, you might not recognize at that moment that there is no you that has no control over the body, but there's a very clear recognition that the body is doing this thing on its own, and that it's not under your control. And then,
Yeah, I'm just like thinking, I was doing a double barrel with Angelo for quite a while ago, and
yeah,
there was a woman that just by saying the things that she was thinking and that she was experiencing, just saying it, and she started to completely shake um her entire body. It was just, for that to allow that feeling allowed to be there, and she was completely shaking. You can see that on the recording.
very cool. Yeah, so we give the warnings only because, and it also might be, there might be crying or laughing or screaming or other things that,
Roaring.
or roaring. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found myself growling at the gym the other day.
Yeah.
That was a very unexpected one. Um, so it's just to be aware that it's
how many people has left? I mean, you're gonna be growling when you're shopping, and you're gonna be
but it was but it
shaking in
was
traffic.
yeah,
And
yeah, but it was like I was intentionally doing the exercise at the gym, with a little mantra for it, and very slow movements like we've been doing for the retreat. And it was just like this defensive thing was in there. It was just like a visceral growling that was happening.
yeah, I just want to say, for
Yeah.
the retreat, we're making a material for if you're going to the gym, which exercises you can do, how you do them, how you do, which mantras to use if you want to activate specifically, because all of the things in our body is the, how can I say, the muscle development is starting to happen in the last trimester, and then continuing until we're 12 years old. And it's through that period that different muscles are getting a normal tension and over tension or an under tension. And that is basically how we walk and how we, move our body and interact in the world. It's very much connected with our emotional and our psychological self. And if you have areas that need to be stretched and released, then you do the home exercises that we're giving you. And if you have parts of the body that needs to be strengthened, then we give you exercises to go to the gym, where explanation of how you do it, so you can work with them. So yeah, and that's where the growling in the gym happens.
Can I make a really quick comment on this subject?
Yeah, of course.
It's so interesting. I love hearing you guys talk about this. I just love this. Oh my God, it just makes the whole body so happy. I don't know why, but anyway, it doesn't matter why.
Yeah,
I just wanted to find you. I just you're somewhere scrolling back on the thingy.
Okay.
If you put it back on mute.
Oh, there you are. Found you. Hold on.
Add pin up. One
There
more.
we go.
There we go.
There you are.
Hello.
I was going to say, I love hearing you talk on this subject. It makes me so happy. And it's kind of surprising in a way. It's bringing up so much, like, yes, so much happiness just to hear you speak about it. And I think it is one thing that I've noticed in myself is that the more relaxed and the more clarity that seems to be coming more and more lately. I stretch in the first thing when I wake up in the morning. I just do this like super big stretch, and I don't really pay attention. Then all of a sudden I notice, wow, this I don't remember doing this anytime very recently. And then I reflect back on taking care of my little granddaughters when they're very small. And as soon as they wake up from a nap, little tiny babies, right? They do this bodacious stretch. They put their arms over their heads, and it's like this big, gigantic. And then, of course, if you watch animals, as soon as they wake up from sleeping, they do the same thing.
Yeah.
And this is really in the same genre, I think, of what kind of stuff we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's and that is that's the part where it's very ninth fetter. It's very much with going with what the body is telling you to do. That it's not about planning, I now need to eat and what should I eat. It's just about, I'm hungry, and then you move to the fridge, or I need to go to the bathroom, or I need to stretch, or I need to do a noodle dance, or I need to, something where you just go with whatever the body is inclined to do, without having any, oh, I can't do that, or embarrassment, or no, not now, or what will other people think, and all of that. Then if all that comes up, then use the lessons from the fetter work. I'm talking to everybody now. Use the lessons from the fetter work to work with that part that tells you that it's wrong to stretch, or wrong to growl, or wrong to, I'm just thinking, you can't go out and growl of people. You shouldn't growl of your neighbor.
No, I would recommend actually like screaming or growling at people in general. But when you come home, however, just growl. Then close the door and then growl all you like.
Yeah.
But I found myself growling today. I was working in the garden and I digging a hole. The soil was really wet and dense, and so when I leaned back to kind of pull it up, I let go. So anyway, I fell back and I chinked my elbow, and the first thing that came out of me was a growl. And I was like, oh, this is so interesting, kind of like that. Just felt
exactly. It's that unhindered reaction and response in the body that would just allow to be there, without creating something out of nothing, without having it's happening to me or any of that, but just allowing the body to be.
And it was so funny because the first thought that went through my mind is, oh my gosh, I just landed on my elbow, and even though it hurts a little bit, it wasn't like the normal elbow. Like some people get this, and it can't. I mean, the pain, the reaction, it was not there. There was no reaction to it at all. Consequently, the pain was not great whatsoever compared to what you would have expected if you bump your elbow really hard. And the growl just kind of, I don't know, the whole thing was just quite beautiful.
Yeah.
And it feels quite different from what might have been experienced.
But that's exactly the point, that it's not the extra darts, of suffering. It's just the first dart of what is happening, the first arrow of what is happening. Pain is there, and that's it. There's not a story about it, or creating a lot out of nothing. And love it, Lisa. Thank you so much.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And should also say too that you know, like, because we've been doing so much of this lately, we have been sleeping more,
Yeah.
and there's been, you know, we've been saying that
Crazy dreams and
yeah, and more just seems like more emotional processing has been happening. So it is possible when you do a lot of these things that you might experience spontaneous memories or thoughts or other emotions coming up. So
yeah. Yeah, and suddenly you can like just sit and do absolutely nothing, and then suddenly the elbow hurts.
mm,
Like a lot of pain in the elbow, or a lot of pain in the shoulder, or just need to breathe deeply, because you don't know what the body is processing and what the body is going through right now, and you just, tag along for it.
exactly.
Can you
I
see?
just
The deep breaths made me yawn. Empathy.
I'd love to use this opportunity to do what I do because I love you guys so much and this work is so incredibly valuable, is to encourage everybody to this is a time when we can make a donation. This is the meeting when you can make a donation to Unfettered Mindfulness on Todd's channel
Thank you.
to
Thank
help
you.
support this work. Yeah.
Thank you so
Lisa.
much. It means so
Really,
much. Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Hmm,
That was really kind.
that was super kind.
So yeah, let's get started. Let's just get back to doot, 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 doot. Here we are. So make yourself comfortable.
I gotta get the yawns out first.
Get the yawns out. Make yourself comfortable. And make a deep breath in. And exhale. And feel how you, for every exhalation, becomes more and more heavy in the body. You fall into gravity. And really settling into the body. Feeling how all the muscles are relaxing. And make a note of your feet. Feel into your feet. Of how your feet are feeling, and maybe you feel that they're not really attached to the body. It's just sensory experience floating in space, where you can think of the feet being there, but does it feel like it's attached to the body, or is it just a sensory experience? You feel your socks on your feet or your shoes on your feet. And you notice where the feet stops and the sock starts. Does the boundary between foot and sock become very blurry? See if you can make contact with your knees. And same thing, do you feel the fabric on your knees? Where does the knee stop and the fabric begin? And notice also when you think of the knees, is there a mental image of a pair of knees? Are your eyes looking down with closed eyes, as if you're looking on the knees? Is there an observer that is observing everything observing the knees and the feet. Or is there an experiencer that is experiencing the knees and the feet? Or is it just sensory experiences floating in space? So feel your bum on the seat. Where does your bum end and the seat begin? Now I would like for you to do a Kegel on an inhalation and follow it up through your spine to the top of your head. And exhale, let go of the Kegel. And feel how the body again relaxed into the exhalation. Notice your entire body on the front of the body. And notice your body on the back. So the back of the head, your back, your shoulders, your back, the lower back, your bum, the back of your thighs, your calves. Notice the body on the right side. And just bring attention to if you're noticing from the inside or if you're seeing it from the outside. There's not a right or wrong. It's just becoming aware of what the mind is doing right now. So when I say notice the left side, are you feeling it from the inside or are you observing your body from the outside? It's not a right or wrong thing. It's just how the mind works. And feel the body from above and below. So now you have all 6 directions. And if you do not want to do any of the body exercises, then just stay here in this calm that you feel in your body right now. This is the point of stillness, simplicity, and contentment. This is the 2024 version of you. That is stillness, simplicity, and contentment. I would like for you to make a deep breath in and exhale. And then notice from the 6 directions, which of the directions are not as clear as the others. So does it feel like, for example, the back direction is more inflated than the other directions? Or is it your right side or left side that is more inflated like the other directions? In the 6 directions, does it feel like any place in the 6 directions that it's kind of like not intact or inflated or not as strong as the other directions? Then I would like for you just to put your attention there. And while you're sitting here with closed eyes, noticing the part of the sixth direction that is kind of like deflated or hasn't got as much energy. With closed eyes, I would like for you to look up. So keep your head still while you look up with your eyes. And slowly, slowly, your eyes move from the 12 o'clock, slowly, slowly to the 3 o'clock. And slowly from 3 o'clock down to 6 o'clock. And from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And from 9 o'clock up to 12 o'clock. Now you probably noticed that when you did that circle, there were some places where the eyes didn't move smoothly. It was like it was jagged, or there was like a movement in the eyes where it kind of became like rough. It wasn't a smooth movement. So what I would like for you to do now is again focus on the part in the sixth direction that is less inflated as everything else. And then do the same thing with your eyes. But when you reach a part where the eyes are shaking or moving roughly, then just stay with your eyes there. Move them a bit up and down in that area. So if it's between, let's say, 1 and 2 o'clock, you just move your eyes between 1 and 2 o'clock while you sit and breathe into it. And when it feels smooth, you slowly move on. So make a deep breath in. And start with your eyes at 12 o'clock. Slowly move to 3 o'clock. And if there's anywhere in between there that you need to move your eyes up and down with at the clock, then you do that. Otherwise, you move on to from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. If there's anything there you need to move your eyes, then just stay there and move your eyes back and forth. Otherwise, move on from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And if there's anywhere you need to stay there with your eyes move up and down, then you do that. Otherwise, you move on from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And again, if there's anywhere you need to move your eyes back and forth, then you do that. And remember to breathe. Now I would like for you to put your hand on your chest just like we did before. Massage the heart area, the heart chakra, with soft fingers, not pointy, sticky fingers, but like a soft massage. And then I would like for you to breathe while you think, I feel my self-worth and I have self-esteem. And you do the same thing. Make a deep inhalation, move the eyes from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I feel my self-worth and I have self-esteem. If you need to stay there with your eyes, you stay there. Otherwise, you move on from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. I feel my self-worth and I have self-esteem. From 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, if you're ready to move on. I feel my self-worth and I have self-esteem. And from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. I feel my self-worth and I have self-esteem. And wherever you needed to stay with your eyes a bit longer, you just keep staying with that for a bit. If you get dizzy, or if you need to shake your body or shake your head or move your arms, then feel free to do that. Okay, relaxing your arms. And now I would like for you to again put your eyes at 12 o'clock, and then you move them up in the upper area. We call it paint. So you paint from side to side with your eyes, really, really slowly move them back and forth, and slowly go down with your eyes. Paint the area from 3 to 9 o'clock. So that entire half of the clock is being painted with your eyes. Remember to breathe. And from 3 to 9 o'clock, but in the bottom half of the clock, where you move your eyes from side to side while you breathe. And when you have painted all of it, you just take your eyes into the middle and just sit and relax and breathe. And again, if you need to shake or to roar or to breathe deeply or move the body in any way, then do that. And then just notice your body right now. What is your body doing right now to compensate? Are you caressing one hand with the other hand? Is one hand holding the other hand? Are you moving your toes? What is happening in your body right now? Okay. Make a deep breath in and lift your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale and let go. Do that again. Make a deep inhalation. Shoulders up. And relax. And last time. Deep inhalation. And relax. And slowly open your eyes. And if you need to shake, then shake.
That's good.
Oh,
So for those of you who are new here, everybody is free to ask questions or share experiences or anything. We just ask that you raise your little virtual hand, and we call on people one by one. If you do want to bring up something that you don't want to be recorded, just let us know, and we will either pause the recording, or I can always take it out afterwards, but we're happy to pause the recording for you. All right.
yeah.
Ready?
Off we go.
Jahara is first. Let me just pin us, and then
And Jahara. Oh,
Where'd you
where
go?
did you go?
you left us.
I'm here.
Hold on a second. Say something again.
I'm here.
I
Did
don't know
you
why,
see
why
me?
the hand
I know. I was
disappears.
just about to.
Go into gallery, and then we
Do you want me
find
to raise my hand again?
Here you
No,
go.
no,
We
we see
found
you.
you.
We see you.
Found you. I'm gonna pin you before I pin us.
There we go.
There we go. Perfect.
Can I have my legs?
Hi.
Hey,
Hi,
welcome.
so good to see you.
So good to see you guys.
How you been?
Good.
You didn't see Jahira.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
saw her on Friday.
She was here last.
Oh yeah, I was here with last Tuesday that we were together too. Yeah.
I've seen her.
That was my first week back. Yeah.
I'm just bragging that I've seen you more than he has.
It's a contest.
I'm so happy that you're here though, Todd. I missed you on Friday when it was just Pernille. I thought of you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I thought, oh, okay, Tuesdays is when Todd comes, and then Fridays is just with Pernille.
Thank you. Yeah, I would be there on Fridays too, but I have a small group that day, so.
I figured. I'm wondering, so are you saying that the retreat is going to be different from what you guys usually do because you're going to be doing more like bodywork stuff like that?
We're gonna be incorporating much more body work. There's gonna be what we're gonna do is there's gonna be a playlist with body exercises for the first and second fetter, for the third and ninth, for the fourth and fifth, for the sixth and seventh, and for the eighth and 10th. And then there's gonna be a first day like overall exercise, which is also the last day overall, because it's like a taking stock exercise. And that is going to be in the playlist. There's going to be in the playlist as well exercises to do at the gym for the different areas that needs more attention, and we do it in order to incorporate the insights from the fetters into a physical acknowledgement as well. So that is going to be
gonna go deep.
Yeah,
it's gonna go deep.
It's gonna go really deep, and
it's not just gonna be up here.
No,
that's the goal. But it's up to the discretion of the people. So we have a sofa sit every morning, which is going to be us talking about the topic of the day, the fetters of the day, and how to, the sort of embodied version of that.
And we also gonna have floor exercises with that.
Right. Yeah. And then, yeah, most likely that will have the floor exercises. And then, but again, it's as much participation as you want. Then you'll have the videos to do each day if you want to do them, as much as you want to do them. There's also going to be an inquiry for every day, which is based on that day's fetters. But all of the inquiries are also coming from a more embodied place than just to make sure that people aren't coming from a purely cerebral standpoint.
And that inquiry can be used either for when you're out and about. It's recorded, and it can be used either for when you're out and about. You can use it in meditation, or you can use it as a sleep inquiry, so you fall asleep with it, so you kind of like reprogram during the night and prepare for the next day.
Though we also
have
sleep one to listen to every night also. And then we have the Q&A, which is like this every day. Also
awesome. Good.
It's
I didn't think I was gonna come, but I think I'm gonna come now.
I would love that.
I think it's gonna be my Mother's Day gift. I'm gonna ask for so that I can contribute, and because it's gonna be a lot of work for you guys, I know.
Thank you.
Just now, because I've done body kind of work before. I've done I'm still like that even just that was like did something, I don't know what, but like I think it's because that I've done like TRE before, and I've done
EMDR,
the Kundalini activation process sessions in person before with practitioners, that was like that was a taste. And like once you activate something like that, it's always kind of more easily accessible. I think this is all just what I just am making stories of it, but like ever since I did that CAP session, like even sometimes like what you said about the girl that like she was just talking about it, like even on Vince's call on Sunday, I was talking about feeling into it, and something came up where like I was like, oh, and even just now when you said feel the front of the body, it was like, like it's always like this, like it's like it gets very like, yeah, like I get tight, and like with the TRE, it was like all mostly in my hips that I felt like the glutes really like really, really tight. Like I can feel like in my jaw, or like I have to like my throat gets dry, and like, so like I don't know, but like that, it's like weird, and but it's also like, yeah, the body, like the body,
Yes.
you know, like, okay, there's no me, but here's this like energetic thing, or here's this energy, you know, the body is energy.
Yeah, I'm just going to interrupt you, because where the difference between the way that we view it and the way that is, for example, done with Kundalini release or with anything like that, is that our starting point is there is no separate self. There is a meat suit, and the meat suit has embodied lots of trauma, because that is how it is to be alive. You know, we are misunderstood in school. We have friends that have left us, girlfriend, boyfriends that have left us. We have, you know, lots of experiences through our lives that we have not been able to place and resolve. And all that is remembered by the body. So the only thing we do is just allow the body to experience it. And because we know there's no separate self, there's no shame, there's no guilt, there's no anger, there's no fear. None of that is involved, because we know that when that emotion comes up to the surface, it's just a diversion. I do not need a diversion. I can be with this. It's completely fine. And that is where the difference is, that you do not need to be scared or anxious about what you feel in your quadriceps, and you know, in your thighs. That is just about you standing tall, standing up, having the foot planted solid on the ground. You're grounded in your life, you're grounded in Jahara. This is where I stand, and you're not movable. Nobody can push you over. That is what is happening. But if there's a psychological dissonance with that, then that will come up, you know. What we would like to emphasize is the part about the seventh fetter, something out of nothing, about the sixth fetter. Notice, if you're observing, the second fetter about feeling and emotions, the first fetter, there's no separate self, and then you just experience the body. So it's not in how can I say it? In a lot of circles, it's made into something mystical and something attainable. A Kundalini rising is, and I experienced that, and then
I have to do lots and lots of practices in order to purify myself, or to move the energy in such a way that it then becomes
right. There's a goal, right?
Yeah.
And it's a proof of your attainment, that you have done the work and you are purifying your consciousness or something.
Exactly. You're closer to enlightenment and all of that. And what we are saying is, hang on. There's still not a separate self. You know, you're still gorgeous and wonderful, but there's no separate self anywhere. So we're just, you know, really taking we're turning the light on. The fluorescent light in the room is turned on. There's nothing mystical. There's nothing like woo-woo about it. It's just like a dog shaking and needing to do that. It's just stomping exercises for Jahara to feel that, you know, she has the right to say no. And whatever comes up, you just allow to be there. You know, it's also why we make it in recordings, so it's in the playlist and it's available for you forever. So you can do these exercises as much or little as you want to throughout all the years. So you have an own process with your body to embody all of this. What happened?
Nothing.
That's not true. Your eyes are sitting and looking down. You're sitting and
Oh, I went into the future about using the exercises in the future. And I was thinking about like when I would use them in the future if I needed them. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to have you here.
Yeah.
In the now.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Um,
yeah, and
mhm.
I also just want to say that it's absolutely correct that the more you have worked with Kundalini, with TRE, with EMDR, with brain spotting, with biodynamic, with anything like that, the more you have worked with that, the easier it is to access. It's just like any other roller skating or biking or handstands or whatever you have done before, it is easier to do. So absolutely agree.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Always good to see you.
You too.
Right.
And it's Kelly.
Kelly's next.
Yay. Hello.
Hello,
First time here.
welcome.
Good to see you.
Oh, thank you. I've absolutely loved this. So I've been in spirituality for 2 years now. I come in through AA because I'm actually an alcoholic. And it was the spiritual side that I wanted. That's what was missing in my life. And I don't know if it's a story I'm telling myself because I'm an addict, but like I've worked with Kundalini a lot, and I feel the energy, and I've had like teeth chatters, and I just need to find a way to break down, because as soon as that happens, I think I'm special and different.
Yeah, I know.
Um, I've had some beautiful experiences, but then I think my mind just gets hold of them and like just skyrockets me,
Yeah.
up there. So, and it takes me weeks to, come down. And it's painful when I come down. It's painful, but that pain feels more real than when I'm up there. Um, and every time it happens, I say, right, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. And I do it again.
How is your up there being experienced? Like when the mind takes hold of it, what actually is happening?
I think I know everything. I basically, I can go on teachings and no, but they don't know that. I am so arrogant with it, which isn't how I really want to come across. So, and then I'll come in with a side attack of, oh God, everyone hates you. You think you know it all, and it just leaves me wide open. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such it's actually a surprisingly common ego game that, if you're coming in, especially from a place of sort of ego deficit, where you have like, obviously we've never met before, so I don't know, but generally speaking, it's often if we have like low self-esteem, issues with our self-worth, something like that. And then we get these tastes of these experiences that some people hold up as being very exalted, and that there's something really special about having this experience. And it makes you feel in that moment also deeply connected to other things. And you have this real overwhelming sense of this is truer than anything else, and this feels really right. But the irony is that then the ego, as you can tell, grabs hold of that and uses that as the support system to reinflate itself in the ways that it hasn't really done healthfully in the past. And it's sort of an unhealthy over exaggeration to try to, again, keep from feeling the discomfort
Yes.
of the unworthiness that has been there for so long. And so it becomes just another way of deflecting from feeling the real discomfort that's there all the time. And then of course when you have that crash, and then it's, you have the thoughts about all the people who are seeing you in that negative way, and that's just reflecting the way that you've already been thinking about yourself, most likely. And then that pulls you back down into that place of deficit again, that place of unworthiness.
Yeah, but it's also the part about that both are the same. Both comes from a deficit of of low self-worth and low self-esteem. So the starting point is low self-worth and low self-esteem, and then the inflated ego is a proof of I do not have low self-worth and I do not have low self-esteem. I'm much more than everybody else. So the starting point is the same. So it's about getting another starting point where you have a starting point in the stillness, simplicity, and contentment, that there's nothing missing. You cannot have low self-esteem. You cannot have an inflated ego. You cannot be better than anyone else. Nobody's better than you. You know, none of that is real in that stillness, simplicity, and contentment, which we're also working with in the lessons in the curriculum. When you work with that you really get into that point where everything is exactly as it's supposed to be. There's nothing missing. There's nothing that needs to be any different.
Yeah, thank you. That was really, really helpful. I will try to go from that starting point.
Yeah, and just make notes when you do the curriculum and you do all the lessons, make notes, because it is going to be useful for you to look back at when you get further along in the curriculum. Then have the notes to look back on and reflect on, because you will forget. It's very, very useful to have it written down of where you are now, because
Lovely. Thank you.
right now your mind is telling you that something is real, and at some point your mind will have forgotten that this was what it told you to be real, and something else is going to be real. So it's very useful to have it written down to see that it's just a story, it's just a fairy tale. None of it is real at all. It's just a thought.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm just also thinking, last thing, and then I will shut up. Last thing is also that remembering that a thought is not important. You know, a thought is just something that is happening and going away again, just like a sound of a dog that is barking is just coming and going, and a car that is driving by is just a sight that is coming and going. It's the same with a thought. So when you have a thought about I have low self-worth and low self-esteem, it's just coming and going. If you just sit and breathe with that, you will notice that it will disappear. You need to pick up the thought all the time to believe it. If you just sit and notice how long is it going to stay here, it is being between 7 and 11 seconds, and then it's just gone again.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
It was lovely to see you here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
And sis.
Hey, sis.
Hello.
Hi.
Good to see you.
It's so good to be here. I have dozens of questions, so I'll try to pick one. But the first thing I want to say is that this is so freeing and so quieting and so true. Yeah, having had I just met with Todd for the first time, so I'm not going to go over any history that's unnecessary, but having had these kriyas, or this movement, involuntary movement in the body for so long, and investigating that, not knowing where it was coming from, and looking into Kundalini, I couldn't be there. I couldn't go that way, you know, but everything about what was happening to me was being described in that tradition. And then Kashmir Shaivism, which is the same thing, and couldn't go there. And I did read Peter Levine's book.
Which one?
The first one,
what is it? The Tiger Within, or what's it called?
There's not a tiger. Yeah, something about a tiger.
Yeah, exactly.
And have a great appreciation for that. But as you say, it's not in the no self. And so it can lead to more stories and connection to the stories. And though that's not intended, I mean, honestly, I feel like I've come home.
Aw,
You're so welcome.
yeah.
I mean, to be free of trying to figure it out, to be free to humbly accept the humanness, the animalness,
Yeah.
the natureness,
Mm.
and the impact of being pulled out of that naturalness. I do have questions, but
Yeah,
there are other.
Go
yeah,
ahead,
you're
go ahead.
welcome.
Well, I don't want to take everyone,
Okay,
there'll be other times during the retreat, I'm sure, to
that's okay.
have questions.
We have more time. You can give us one, and then we'll.
Okay, what's the impact, like when the body, oftentimes it seems that the body here has more energy than it knows how to flow with in an active situation. Okay, so like
the world, like when you're out in life, you mean?
yes, when there's a real vulnerable, positively vulnerable, a full expression, the energy seems to just come so big. And will this work that we'll be doing on the retreat gain more sense of freedom and flow through the body, without being preoccupied with stories and so on?
Yeah.
It's hard. I don't know if, is my question even making sense?
It makes a lot of sense, because in a lot of, for example, my original education, it was very much about the way that I look at it now, obviously knowing how the muscles are, and when ligaments and tendons and muscles develop, and then the psychological and the emotional part that is connected with that. But then it was also creating a lot of something out of nothing. It was very much because it was very much about psychotherapy, so it was very much focused on the story about it. And there's like in that, a detachment is happening, where we leave the body and go into the story and talk about the story and stay in the story and build more on the story, and the body is left again. Our focus with what we do, when we connect the two, is not to leave the body, it's to stay in the body. The story is irrelevant. It's not about the label of it. It's about the body expressing itself the way it is expressing. And
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
Well, that helps me ask my question better.
Okay.
That's very helpful. In that, like, I do better talking with someone on the phone because I move the whole time, because I do whatever, and I used to have a lot of gestures, and the feedback was, that's too many gestures, just say it, kind of thing. So there's this constant sense of a natural movement that the body wants to make.
Yeah.
Okay. How much of that will some of that quiet down?
No.
But is it
No,
the lack of movement?
No, no, because to me it sounds like your socialization have taught you not to move. Your socialization have told you to keep your arms still, don't look straight in the eyes, do not move, stand still, we can't walk around when we talk. That is your socialization. If your nervous system needs to move, I'm Asperger, so I'm stimming a lot. And when I get really excited about something, I jump up and down and I stim a lot, because I'm like, I got so much energy in my body that I can't contain it in my body. It would be
That's
violent
me.
towards myself.
That's
Yeah,
me.
yeah, exactly.
That's me.
I would do violence. I would be violent towards myself. It was trying to contain everything in the body. There's too much to be in the body. It needs to get out. That is not gonna get less. On the contrary,
Okay.
you're gonna express it more, but you're gonna be okay with it. You're not-
Okay.
you're not gonna-
Okay. Because the message has been, I'm too dramatic, and it doesn't, or I want to, and it's not that. It's that
No,
there's
but
this
sis,
body wants to move.
yeah, but sis, if somebody thinks that you're too dramatic, are they allowed to think that you're too dramatic? Can you set them free to think that you're too much and too dramatic?
I really can.
Yeah.
And I also want to accept and support their need for
Is that your
a
job?
calmer space.
Is that your job?
I guess I'm not sure. Let me be with that. The thought is maybe they need to go find less dramatic friends.
There you go. There you go. There you go. If it's your job for them to have a quiet environment around them, then who's taking care of you while you are in their business? Who is in your business?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what other people think of you is none of your business.
Yeah.
So if you are, big movements and you're standing and running on the spot while you're speaking with people, or shaking like, I don't know, whatever, or whatever you're doing, or having a Tourette of loud laughter, or whatever is happening, if you can be okay with that, you're completely okay with other people not being okay with that. They are set free to not be okay, just like
Yeah.
you are set free to be okay.
Yeah, it's about time, wouldn't you think? Yeah, it's about time. Honestly, I feel a tremendous liberation.
Good.
That's wonderful.
I feel as though I've always known this
Yeah.
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
you found a husband who
Yes.
finds it absolutely delightful.
Yeah.
When you're with these uh, the abundance of energy that comes out, and the sheer delight that you feel in things, and the excitement, I find absolutely amazing. It wouldn't work if you were with somebody who's just like, stop that, get yourself together. Like it just wouldn't be.
No,
It wouldn't
it
be
wouldn't
right.
be healthy.
It
It
wouldn't
wouldn't be
at all.
healthy. No.
No, so it works to have people in your life who really appreciate that aspect of you for what it is.
Yeah, that is making that into a cis uniqueness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have, I'm just, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I also have a couple technical questions that I wonder, is there a specific email or something I can address as far as being able, I joined and paid from computer and now I can't get it on my phone. Do I join again on my phone and
On
pay?
the awakening curriculum, you mean? Or wait, what are we
I can't
talking
get the
about?
member, I can't get the member stuff on
Yeah.
my phone.
Are you on an iPhone?
Yeah.
No, it's
Huh?
not. It's not that.
Wait, what are we talking about?
It's if you have logged in as a member on YouTube on your computer, then you need to make sure that when you're on your phone on YouTube, that it's the same account you're logging in with.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to do that, but
it's how can I explain that? If you click in the on your little icon on YouTube, if you have the app, then you log in with the same account as you paid with, and then you have full access as well on your phone.
Okay, I can look into it. I'll get some help with that. I
Yeah.
don't need to take time here.
It's just like, you know, if you are on Facebook on your computer, you need to log in on Facebook on the same account on your phone. You know, if you are doing online banking on your computer, you need to log in to your account on your phone as well. Otherwise, you can't see how much money is on your account. It's the same thing with everything. That
I
you
know, I don't
need
do
to be on
any.
the same account.
Yeah.
It needs to be on the same
I
account.
know.
Okay, I'll get it figured out. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You
Thank
can
you
always-
both.
Oh, thank you. It was good seeing you. And you can always email me if you still have questions about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Thank
seeing
you.
you. Bye. All right, we have
Liz.
Liz is up next.
Yes.
Hi, Liz.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see the two of you too.
How have you been?
I've been good. And I'm sitting here with you all because I don't know specifically what my question is.
Okay. In the meantime,
Yeah.
I love the Buddha on your wall.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm really appreciative of everything that's been said and adding in the body and slowing down and really paying attention to aspects of the body is super useful for me.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful for that. I have some curiosity, especially with the eye movements. You know, the part of me that wants to think and assess is curious about eyes in certain positions.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you have something to say about it. And then I'm also wondering if that is just me creating thought or story around it and letting it just feeling like as I sit here now and I feel with you, I still feel the place of like, oh yeah, there was some stuckness there and I went back to it. And I'm very curious, especially about directionality, right and left, how things will be felt in my body. So I don't know if that evokes anything for either of you. I can pause there and we can see.
I have just I'll let you do the more technical answer, but I'll just answer from the other elements of that quick. What good would it do you to know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even when you ask me, I almost feel like the knowing would just solidify, like less openness
Yeah.
and more consolidation of something. So yeah, so maybe it's feeling that quiver of like both, and I can almost get teary feeling into that, both wanting to know and the recognition that the knowing will take me away, but like the habit of going to what is knowable.
Yeah, because does it
Yeah.
feel like you need to know because there's a sense of security there? That if you knew it, you would feel and somehow more safe knowing what the reason is. You can latch onto it now.
Well, when I really feel it, it's interesting. It almost takes me like again to something that feels less open and more separate and solid.
Yeah.
So even in terms of feeling what gives security, it doesn't really, if I ask my body, it doesn't really give me the security, the felt sense of security. And I think there is some sense of like that, like, could I grab onto something, Yeah.
The problem, Todd, you're really touching on a really, really good point. In a bracket, I just want to ask, do you know that inquiry that Todd has made, the knower and the known? You know that? It's the
I
most
probably have
positive.
done it, but I don't know.
I
Okay,
hate it. I absolutely hate it because he's questioning math.
Okay. Yeah, I remember.
It's
Yes.
really, really good. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. obviously I can answer you on the different areas of the eyes and the right and the left, and I can give you a very, very, in-depth answer to that. But if I do that, I absolutely hear what you're saying, that by that I'm creating words that is minimizing your experience. So I think instead of answering you, I would rather like to make like it part of the material, and it can be listened to if you want to listen to it, but you touch on something that we need to talk about. Because it's for every word that is said about something, there's a minimized experience. It's just like we said a million times that if you have a headache, you're minimizing the experience by calling it a headache. Because then there's a label, and in that label, only certain things can happen, and you're only aware of those certain things. It needs to be localized to here. It needs to feel in a certain way, and that's it. If you detach that label, you allow the headache to be a full body experience, and that is different. Oh, wow, my breathing is different. Oh, my tummy feels different. That is not part of the label headache. And it's a really good question you ask, Liz. And a really good question you asked.
And the other
that sorry that the answer will minimize your experience.
And the other part of it too is that it's also giving you the idea, okay, so if I know that if I put my eyes here, it's relating to X, Y, and Z, that gives you the sense of a purpose, that now I know I need to fix this thing, or I need to work with this thing. And this is telling me more about myself. It's telling me more about my history. It's creating this whole system of, I know I need to get rid of this to fix this. And by that, I can target this thing. And then, so it creates up this whole system of doing something for a purpose, of the one who is going to get something out of it, of all the reifications, and like you said, everything about minimizing the actual experience of just being completely emotional or taken over or whatever, just by having your eyes in this place. It's just the curiosity of allowing that to express itself. And then if it never comes back again, it never comes back again. If it does it every time you do it, it does it every time you do it until it doesn't. And it's just allowing that to be without having to create an intellectual understanding of everything, because it can be a way of keeping us feeling like safe and bound in our knowledge of, I understand what's going on now. I have some, so like
it's
you were
keeping us away from the 10th fetter.
It is, exactly. And so like you were saying that yeah, we need answers, but like you were saying, like feel into that feeling of that grasping, that wanting to know. What comes up in you if you can't know? How does that, what brings that up? And just allow that to be there, whatever that brings up.
Yeah, in some ways there's more body release without knowing. I could feel my body do more releasing without knowing. There's a thought that comes in of like this balance between like relative world and needing to know, or not that I think that I even need to know something to function necessarily, but something about some knowledge that is supportive. But at the same time, when I feel it, and mostly what I feel then is that I don't have much to say, or even with the question, that almost any question I ask is like, well, that's not really going to be, I can feel the things I want to ask. Like, I'm like, there's no fucking answer to that, Liz. Like, but partly the compelling thing of like wanting to ask it anyway, or,
it is a diversion. It is a diversion. It's a very, because I feel in me, I want to know everything. I want everything into small boxes, and it fits my autistic brain wonderfully when things are measurable and into small boxes and understandable, and keep digging into things until I absolutely understand. And I really feel that ickiness in the body that is experienced in the 4th and the 5th fetter. That ickiness of not knowing, of wanting to know, that as if there's a a parallel reality where I do know, and that's much more comfortable than not knowing. So it's a huge diversion. Yeah, I really feel that. Thank you.
Well, I love what you just said about parallel reality, because it's almost, even though like there's no self, almost like two selves dueling. One that is like, I want to have this, knowing, the knower piece, and one that is, yeah. Okay. I think we can leave it there. Yeah.
It's amazing how much of this comes down to spending hours answering questions that, when silence really is so useful, that just feeling the urge to ask a question and the urge to, what is it that we need to be resolved by the answering of that question, and how much is the actual intellectual understanding of it going to help? It really boils down to your experience above all else. And it's not the mental conceptualized experience. It's just truly being present with what is here in all of its facets. That said, we're still happy to sit here and answer questions for hours.
Week after week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, even in you just speaking that, like I can feel the micro movements in my body of just the even different kind of quivering to the, all the different aspects. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and just let them ride out. Just be with them. If we, I think we mentioned this before we did the thing too, or something about it, but that remaining aware when we're feeling stuff in the body, how much there is also this sort of separate observational self that's there taking stock of everything and noting it from a distance. And it's like, yeah, I'm with my body, but you're partially feeling sensations, and then sometimes it's actually more visual imagery that we're seeing of the body and of the sensations than we are actually just allowing the sensations to be and really being the sensations. And there is a distinction between being the observer feeling a sensation and being the sensations, where there is no distinction between them. And so the more we are vacant, or the more we are not there as that sort of controlling, observing, second functioning sort of watcher or witness, then you're able to just have this complete raw experience without any control, cataloging, second guessing, needing to put it into a box, label it, tell other people about it, remember it to share, any of that.
Love it.
Yeah, Pernille, when I heard you say that piece about the headache, right? Like if we're like headache, or we get really localized versus like a whole body headache, letting it take up space and just be, that feels different to me too. Sometimes I want to say reminding myself, but that sense of closing around something versus just letting it
be spacious.
Yeah.
It's really about setting us free and setting everything free to be as it is, instead of needing it to fit into a neat little box with a little nice label on it. Yeah.
I love packaging though.
I love it. I love it so
right? Like,
much.
it's just like, and meanwhile it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, goodness, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Sophie and Sebastian.
Yay.
Hello.
There.
I think I got
There we
you.
go.
Yes, caught you before. Hey.
Hello,
Hey, you guys.
Good to see you.
Hey.
So, my first question was like, teamless Lisa. This, I think, was this just,
Yeah.
this. Yeah. So, this drops.
Thank you, Liz.
Yeah, so it was I really like the meditation, and I'm always amazed of what is happening in the body, which is like out of imagination from the mind. Like, oh wow, how can this be possible? So that was like a thought coming up, and then after I was like, oh, okay, what does it tell me? What can I make out of it? So just what you explained, Todd, was happening, like the grasping, okay, I can learn something, or yeah, making assumptions about why this and that feels like this and that. So I try to stay with that feeling of not knowing,
Amazing.
even though I would love to know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I understand points. And the other thing what came up and was said today again, and I had it when I last time asked my question about boundaries and feeling guilty. And today you said again, Pernille, that it's that guilt, shame, anger, fear are diversions.
Yeah.
And it's like also a question of understanding. And the other time, like when I first did the lessons, I understood that there's like that these are the basic emotions, so that we divert from feeling fear, anger, guilt, and shame. And now I'm a bit confused. Like, is it a diversion, or is it this?
It is. It's because the way that the curriculum is made, it's where the idea of it is that I'm taking you in the hand, and then we start out in the first lesson, and there needs to be something to hold on to until you do not need the separate self anymore. So slowly we're working out like that. And it is true that we say that there's fear, anger, guilt, and shame is a toxic starting point. That is like the basic feeling that we have of fear, anger, guilt, and shame. When we come further on, I teach you about the bubble of reality in the second episode of the bubble of reality, where you understand that whatever Todd says something and I get angry, then in that lesson, it's like, okay, hang on. It cannot be anything outside of you. That is just a mirror. So the anger is arising in you. Now, in the 6th and up until the 8th fetter, what we're doing is that we're even dismantling that. That we're saying that anger that is arising is a diversion from something else. There's a sensory experience in the body that is so icky that you cannot stay with it. So let it arise, let it come up to the surface, let it be really, really big, then detach the label of anger and see what you're actually sitting with. And that is where we're at in the 6th, 7th, and 8th fetter. In the 8th fetter, we're even dismantling you. The last little kernel of a me experiencing and me being part of everything is being dismantled. So it's what we're doing with the lessons. It also what I'm said in one of the first lessons, that what I'm doing is absolutely impossible, so let's do it. I am picking everything apart in all the lessons in sequence, which is impossible.
Okay.
So it's absolutely right that in the lessons you're taught at some point that these are the basic feelings, and then you're taught it can't be, it's a projection, and then you're taught it's not a projection, it's a diversion. So what is actually that? So yeah.
Okay. So if fear, anger, guilt, and shame arises, it is not like, I think I sometimes tried, which is the same topic what Todd just said, because what is happening is that I'm diverting from what is actually happening in the body.
Yes.
And it's like a mechanism which is like hard to break. So I try to stay there, but sometimes it's just happening. But once guilt is rising, it is always just the solution to come back to the body, right? Is that like a thumb rule to take with me for experiencing it?
Yeah, and it's also why the lesson that we do about the wheel of identification is so important, because even though you have gone through all 10 fetters, you can, something can happen, like, what was it that happened? I can't remember anymore. Something happened with an experience we had by the table. I can't remember anymore. But
Today?
suddenly, no, a while ago. Anyways, but something happened, and suddenly I had this feeling of shame, which was so alive. And I know there's no one to feel shameful, but it was like a memory that came up that my body needed to experience. And because I know there's no separate self, and I know that there's no shame, I can sit with the sensation in the body, and the 2024 me can be healing whatever needs to be healed that is about shame. And I can go into the feeling of shame, and I can, you know, really allow it to be in the body. And I had this adult in the room with me that is saying, it's okay. It's okay. Stillness, simplicity, contentment, feel all the shame you want. You're not going to fall apart. Everything is fine. And then it just disappears. So it's and that is why the wheel is important to realize and to talk about, that things can, because who are we to know where the layer of the onion is? You know, then you said something, I can't remember. I said something, can't remember what it was, but something happened where I suddenly had this overwhelming feeling of shame, and I was just like, Todd, I feel so much shame right now. And then I could just be with it. I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember either.
I can't remember what it was.
No.
It was about your dad, Pernille, wasn't it? And the jam or something on the table.
We had the, you're not talking about this, the dressing incident.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. Thank you, Leona. That's another one.
Yeah.
But that's actually a really good example.
Every time we're at the table, it's a banquet of shame.
So many things are happening at the dining table.
Mealtime is just fraught with trauma. It's incredible.
No, but something. Is Gitte still here? Is Gitte here? I think I spoke with Gitte about it. I can't remember. It was something about. I can hear our conversation with Gitte because we talked about that. I forgot to write it down.
Yeah, I don't remember.
We were making material for something, and I wanted to feel a feeling, and I couldn't feel a feeling, and then you did something, and then I felt the feeling, and then I was like, oh yeah, right. I can't remember. I can't remember. I've got to figure it out for next time so I can explain that.
Yeah, that's kind of, how to say, not good to hear, but that from time to time that it's normal that it's never solved completely. So it's more about always again and again coming into the body, from what I hear.
I remember what it was. Do you want to hear the story?
Of course.
I don't remember.
We had talked about the bubble of reality. We had talked about, because something in the news, something happened where people were talking about their own bubble all the time and projecting their own bubble onto other people. And we talked about how can we make people know more about empathy, because it's about empathy. If I do not have empathy with me, then I cannot deal with my own bubble of reality. So I need to project it onto other people. And then I was like, how can we talk about empathy on that profound a level when it's about the bubble? And you then said, yeah, you're right, and started to talk about something completely different.
All right.
And I was like, and I had that feeling, he's not listening to what I'm saying. He's not listening to what I'm saying. And then I was like, oh, hang on, that's your bubble. You're not listening to what he's saying, because right now, I want him to hear what I'm saying. So I'm sitting and thinking that he's not listening to what I'm saying. Oh, that was the thing about empathy. I just wanted to say, I need to have more empathy about what he's saying right now. And it all happened like in a split second.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I said that, you started to talk, and you could see that I was like somewhere, and you said, what happened? I was like, I just resolved all of it, because it just fell into place like in a split second. I was like, it happened so quickly.
Yeah,
that was it.
I remember that, but it happened so quickly I completely forgot about it. It wasn't like a significant.
Yeah, remember
from my side. Yeah, I do remember that happening though.
Yeah. That
So
was it.
funny.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So funny.
Good to hear.
So it's very much about that constant reflection in the bubble, you know, Whatever I think is happening out there, it's only ever happening here. If I don't feel that Todd is listening, I'm not listening to what he's saying, or I'm not listening to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Tricky.
Did you ask a question, or did we just sit and talk about ourselves?
It could be both.
No, I just said that for a rule of thumb, it's about staying in the body with whatever is, and it's not so important if guilt is the toxic starting point or a diversion. At the end, it might not be what is happening in the body.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if it's from trauma or if it's from,
No,
I don't know, Sebastian said the wrong thing to me.
It's like Todd
Yeah.
says, it's just a hologram that is coming up.
Yeah.
It's just a hologram coming up that is giving a sensation in the body about guilt. Detach the story about guilt and just sit with the body, what is happening in the body right now, and just allow that to happen.
Yeah. So that was the kind of question about is it the toxic starting point and is everything related to fear, anger, guilt, and shame, or is it diversion? And
and the answer is yes.
Yeah. Because you will find, you know, it like I'll probably just be recapitulating what you said.
I love that.
But basically that, you know, as we're going through daily life, whoop,
oh,
they're gone.
Oh, there we go.
Keep going.
Hi.
It's
a lovely palm frond.
Yeah, it's Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, I'll just say, so, you know, when we are like, especially working through the first fetter and, you know, there's a lot of selfing, then of course the toxic starting point is, you know, it's like coloring the way that we see ourselves and the world. And so if we come from a place of like just feeling really shameful about ourselves, then we are perceiving everything through that filter of shame. And so on that level, like you said, it's really relevant to notice that, oh, this is my starting point. I am coloring everything I see through this filter, becoming aware of it. But then ultimately, once you've lost that sense of me being the shameful one, then it's just like recognizing that even when you have that sense of shame, that the feeling of shame itself has to have, you have sensations in the body, but it takes one or more types of thoughts to make that sensation into shame or guilt or fear or something else. And then it's just being aware of what is actually happening in the mental and auditory thought space.
Yeah, because there's a huge leap from a sensory experience of guilt to the thoughts about that being guilt. There's a lot of things in the mind that needs to happen for those two to connect.
Exactly. And then it's going from a sensation in the body plus the thoughts that are appearing that make guilt exist to then that guilt is mine and that's about me and this relates to my whole story and all of that.
And then the story. And then the story. Then the story about the story.
Exactly. Yeah. And so if we just come back to that fundamental kernel of sensation, all of the other stuff can just detach from it.
And also like why we find it so important to connect it with the body is that the body has been left all along for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. The body has just been left. And it's so important to come back and allowing the body to experience what it is experiencing and not going out on a little story and a tangent about mom and dad and 7th grade and all of that. When we do that, we're leaving the body. We want to embrace the body and love the body and be happy about the body and Thank you.
I have a request about the example. It's Liz again.
Hey, Liz is just pin you. There you are.
Okay, thanks. Your example is so lovely and it's so real. And I'm wondering if you might be willing to even slow it down more for us to kind of travel with you, because what you said is actually there's a lot that happens all in that short span of time. And you're also in the accompaniment of someone who is curious about your experience, right? Where many times we might be in a position where the other person might not be curious. And so I'm wondering if you could take some time and sort of show us those steps a little bit slower, right? Your recognition, something going
Oh,
on.
my example of the what happened. Yeah, okay, yeah. It was just because it happened so quick. But I think that is when there's no story about anything anymore, then things can happen quick because there's not a rumination about every single facet of it. But Todd and I had talked about the bubble of reality. I can't remember what it was, but there was something happening in the media or something like that, or in our lives. I can't remember.
I think it had something to do with something, looking at the news or something, and there was something about the discrepancy of how people can, be so completely divided and yet be completely in their own reality about the same issue, be completely polar opposite with somebody else. And I can't remember the specifics of the.
But it was something that led us to talk about the bubble of reality. Of that, it's not enough in the lessons when we talk about the bubble of reality. I make it very clear that whatever you think you see, hear, or experience on the outside, it's just a reflection of you. It's a reflect. You can only experience something that you already know. You cannot. I have the picture of a little girl that is offered. She's a little girl with an ice cream, and she's offered, if you ask a 2-year-old, do you want $100 or do you want an ice cream? Because she doesn't know, she will say the ice cream, because she's lacking information. And it's the same with the bubble of reality. Whatever you think you see, hear, or experience can only be something that you recognize. If I suddenly start to speak Chinese, you do not know what I'm talking about because you don't understand Chinese, let's say. So everything we think is happening on the outside, what is happening, out there or in here or in the media, or it's only a reflection of you. And what we wanted for people to become aware of was opening up for empathy for yourself. Because when we have the Democrats and the Republicans standing and yelling on one another and throwing mud at one another, and the Democrats are so sure that Trump da-da-da-da-da, and the Republicans are so sure about Biden da-da-da-da-da, they completely look at themselves blind, away from empathy from themselves, and project all their own worst sides onto the other ones instead of feeling it. So because of the lack of empathy that is happening here on the inside, we see atrocities out there, but those atrocities can only be seen if I'm committing those to myself in my life. So the talk we had was about how can we make people be more okay with empathy towards themselves. Because when you have empathy towards yourself, you can only have empathies with others. You can only love other people to the extent that you love yourself. You can only be compassionate to other people to the extent that you can be compassionate towards yourself. So for us to heal the world, we need to teach you guys to be love and kind and compassionate towards yourself. So you will reflect that out into the world, and that is how we can save the world. So that was what we talked about. And we talked about how do we teach people about empathy? How do we do that? And Todd started to talk about Danish lessons, whatever, something completely.
I thought it was related.
Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, of course you did. So in my mind, he started to talk about something completely unrelated to the very, very important issue that I was sitting and talking about. And that was obviously what we should talk about, this very, very important issue, not what he wanted to talk about. And in that moment, I felt that feeling of he's not listening to me. That is the problem. That is the problem, that people are not listening. And right away, I saw that. Who is not listening? Who is not listening? That was a lack of empathy that I wanted to teach other people, that I couldn't even live myself. I didn't have empathy for me, sitting in that moment, believing that I was right and he was wrong and he should listen to me, how fucking arrogant can a person be?
Yeah.
So in that moment, I realized that what I was judging Todd for not doing, not listening, I was not listening. I was sitting and coming up with the answer to my question in my lived experience. How do I teach other people about empathy? That was the question I posed. How do I teach people about it? Well, here you have a lesson, my dear. And then in my own lived experience, in the moment, I experienced how it was not to have empathy. In that moment, I didn't have empathy for Todd, and I didn't have empathy for my experience. I just had, I was right. And then I realized that that was the whole issue. Of course, in Todd's little bubble, what he said was the thing that he needed to talk about, because that was the answer to his question in the talk that we had. Just like in my little bubble, what I wanted to talk about was the answer to me for me to understand, the answer to the question.
And as you're feeling that lack of empathy, and there's some part that recognizes, oh, empathy is needed here. It's not here. Empathy is needed here. And the space to let that come in. Because there's the knowing of it.
It's super important what you're saying. There are 3 levels of that. There's an acknowledgement, there's an acceptance, and there's an understanding. And normally we waltz between acknowledgement and acceptance over and over and over and over. But the acknowledgement and acceptance is tied in with the fetters. So either 1 to 10, you decide, is the reason why you're waltzing between acknowledgement and acceptance over and over and over and over. And that can take years. The understanding is a split second. The moment I realized this is it, there's no empathy, then because those are not there, it would, sorry, just that. It was just that right away. That was such a bad example. Bad example. I don't know how we can do that.
I think it's the perfect example.
But then it's just straight to understanding, and that's the thing about understanding. It's in a split second, and the whole world changes. Like the entire kaleidoscope is just going like whoop, and the picture is different. And suddenly there was empathy here, and there was empathy there, and there's, I mean, so much love here for me to sit and tell the story. I'm not embarrassed or shameful or anything, because the kaleidoscope shifted. There's not any meat on it anymore. It was even let go to the extent of completely forgetting about it.
At what point did the shame come up? You talked about the big, huge flush of shame. Where in all that did it come up?
Not in that story. That's another story.
Was it really? Okay, sorry.
It's the dressing story. A lot of things is happening at that dining table.
Yeah, I remember the dressing story. Yeah, that was
we have said that we need to start just like putting a camera on and recording our lunches, because there's so much stuff that just happens over lunch.
We have 1 meal a day, and we sit and eat and talk for about an hour, and we talk so many times about we need to put up a camera, because we have all of these conversations when we eat.
Yeah, that's right. That's beautiful. And I really appreciate your saying, we can for years waltz between these 2 things, waltzing, and then the whoosh and the kaleidoscope is really useful.
Yeah.
Was there any point, I know you said it all happened so fast, but was there any point in that when any kind of an emotion came up, or was it all just really fast? As it sounds like.
No, there was no emotion. There was no emotion connected to it. It was more like just, oh, and then it was the shift in the kaleidoscope, and when you have a kaleidoscope and you do a little turn on it, the picture goes different, and a little turn and the picture goes different. Imagine you do like that, and it's a completely entire different picture that's there, and that's the feeling of it. That is just like, oh, and then it's sorted to the extent of, And you were sitting completely, can we talk about it? And it was like, sure. But it was just, it had already passed. It had already passed.
Yeah, I remember that part.
Mm. Thank you,
for
Liz.
asking.
Yeah, thank you,
for
Liz.
asking.
Thank you also for the question. The battery from the mobile phone went off. So.
Yeah. Love Nicaragua.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
It's Anne.
Hello, Anne.
Hi,
Good to
hiya.
see you.
Nice to be here.
Sorry?
I started listening to you, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Time and memory's not very good, so I'm guessing it was a couple of weeks ago. But oh, I so needed to find this. It's just like there was so much frustration, and I was kind of like, with the universe, is there anyone out there that can help me with this? And then this came up. Through a friend actually who's on here. Thank you for that. Just about what you were saying, first of all, about that flipping back to the projection and then owning it as your own. I don't know if you know Katie Byron's work, The Work, but her exercises, I only did them for a short time, but you can do them quite quickly in your head. And turn anything back to everything as a projection of yourself. It's just such a quick, that helped me so much, because nothing can be out there anymore. Even when I'm on a Zoom, if stuff's coming up about someone, you know, a slight flash, you can just turn it around back to yourself, or not. Might have to do a worksheet sometimes, but quite often. But yeah, and I don't know if it's a share or a question or a bit of both. I just wanted to speak because it's my first time here, and I've been listening to you. I love, and I went on Vince a couple of times, a couple of Sundays through your suggestion. And I've been involved in non-duality about 7 years, and not as much recently, but at the beginning, for the first years, I mean, I lived and breathed it 24/7, and I think I've been through every single speaker and teacher. And I ended up with Angelo. That was my last. Well, I still listen to him, but Angelo's amazing. And but about 3 years ago, I had quite a bit. Well, I had a huge shift around the Tony Parsons. I'd been involved in that for a couple of years, and going to London to see him, and big openings, and basically I had a huge shift, and I was convinced I'd awakened. I thought that was it. I thought that was the end of it. I was a lot dropped, a lot shifted, and I had a honeymoon with that for quite a long time, because there's been a lot of trauma in my life, and it was a relief, you know. And I was actually invited to do a couple of talks, and I did a couple of talks, and that's when I kind of realised something felt a bit off. There was still ego in there, and I thought, this is not the end of a line. And then I was in the desert for a long time because I couldn't find anyone who, you know, I'd come away from this big community, as I'd done with lots of other communities, and I couldn't find. Anyway, cut a long story short, I then found this, and that's what I've been struggling with the last 2 years, maybe accepting that wasn't it. And now there's the other shoes dropped, and there's moments of beautiful space and peace, calm, whatever, acceptance. I don't even know how to call it, but. And then other times where the opening's really big, and it's just the stuff comes up to be dealt with that's been trapped in the body, the locked trauma, and that is horrendous. Just to put a tilt on it, I listened to Todd, really resonate with you both, and I listened to Todd, amazing talk with Tonka on the first Fetter, and she basically said everything that I'd want to say. You know, I was like, Googling Todd's one-to-one session. I need a session with Todd, that's what I need. And then it's like, oh, yeah, I haven't got any until April. Well, I'll be in a totally different place by April, and, you know, maybe I won't have anything to, because there's so much that I'd like to talk about that's gone on, and I've been on my own in this journey without anyone to reflect off from. Angelo a little bit, but you can't get that much of Angelo. So it's been tough, and I've just been through 2 months. I've just sort of blipped out of it, like from black to white. That's what happens. I've also got some health issues with chronic fatigue. So that confuses quite a bit of, is this awakening or is this me going through health issues? So I've been in this dark place for 2 months where I really had no idea what was going on. It was just horrendous. I just can't explain it. I had no understanding on it. What I do know was when it was like purging, it was like sort of throwing up, but mentally and physically. And it feels a bit like being buried alive. And then afterwards, I would have some memories come up of, you know, there's been abuse in my life, and I remember it, but it's as if I maybe felt it for the first time. That's kind of where I'm at, so I don't know if this is a share or a question, because I think I'd need to have a one-to-one to really get into things. So just relief really that these fetters are. I'm glad that you do the circular one, Pernille, as well, because obviously, like, you explained something brilliant, Pernille, when you said about, I think it was you that said, you know, you can go to Tony Parsons and maybe hit the 10th fetter, but then you've got no structure beneath it. That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah,
it's terrifying.
It's also a thing that I really would like for you to kind of like shift your view on, is when you said that you did Tony Parson and all of that, and then you found out that was not it, and your whole demeanor was about like that had been a waste of time and all that. I really would like for you to be very compassionate, because it has clearly led you to be in a place where you now can allow to feel in your body the abuse that happened. So there has been some protective survival mechanism in place that you have slowly wiggled with the Tony Parson and with everything you've done, and now you're in a place at another part of the layer of the onion where you now can start to look with the knowledge that you have, that there's no separate self. You can now start to look at the trauma part in the second fetter, work with that part, and see how the mechanisms of survival and was put in place, and have full compassion for that. So really see the whole Tony Parson period and everything you've done for the last 7 years as being a part of a learning curve to put yourself in a position to be where you are at now.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Compassion, yeah, much more. Evoke much more kindness and compassion to yourself than what you have. That things as they are is completely fine. You know, there's nothing missing, and nothing needs to be any different than it is in this moment right now.
Well, as an overview, you know, when I'm kind of in the bigger, not in the dark, where the sort of child takes over, it seems I do see everything as perfect, even the abuse.
Yeah,
that might sound strange, but I really do see that. And I've been in so many communities. I went into Christianity 5 years, Buddhism, stayed at the Muji place, and then the Tony Parsons, and had to leave every community, which was heartbreaking. And I saw a pattern that after I'd left, I'd want to diss it, not go around bitching about it, but I'd want to, you know, kind of reject it.
Yeah.
But I have seen in the past year that everything is perfect. And even with the Tony Parsons things, I wanted to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
You know, and so I see what you're saying, I do. But I do think it was an important time. But I think probably what's becoming clear through, thanks to you guys, is that now, somebody was suggesting a year ago to do body work and things like that, and it was like a foreign language to me. What's a body, you know?
Yeah.
And now I think the whole period with the month or two of this horribleness, it is. I don't think it'd be that painful. I think there's probably a lot of resistance. There's just things maybe I didn't feel I had the security of a group, but I just couldn't. I was facing them on my own, and it was. I didn't know how. I didn't know how to feel it. I didn't know how to go about it. So at times I was totally locked in my head with self-loathing and like you talked about shame. I don't know if I know what shame feels like, but I've had a lot of it. I remember having it as a child, but now I don't think I'd know if I was feeling shame. So there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work for me to do, and I just want to show I'm grateful. Really, that's the main.
Yeah.
Huge gratitude to finding this, and
so welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Absolutely.
And I just want to address the part about one-to-ones with Todd, because he's already working way more that his wife thinks that he should. And he has bookings out to September already.
Actually, November.
As today, there's booking, people making sure that they have sessions.
There is still a lot open since I can't remember. I think I still have stuff open in May. I don't remember if there's anything open now in April.
Yeah, I don't know, but
I
know it's difficult to get one. Yeah, but we do have these meetings every week. You do have Vince's meeting on Saturdays. You know that there are a lot of meetings that you can go to. Yeah. And I do understand what you say, that you would need the support from the group, but what you most of all need is the inner support, the bubble of reality, my love. It's in here that the support needs to be felt, because people can say that they love you and they support you, but if you can't receive it, like Todd always says, love needs to be received. It can't be given. If you cannot receive it, it doesn't matter. So work on the inside job first. You know, to listen through all of the lessons in the curriculum, listen to every single meeting we have had, and then you will feel the community. You know, you do have a community, and even though you can't get a one-to-one with Todd right now, you do have a community. There are people that understand what you're going through. There are people in your position as well. You're not alone in this.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the support. It's hearing other people, and it's just reiterating that, staying with the body, going into the feelings, and you know, because when you're on your own, it's, do I do this? Do I do that? Should I listen to more teaching? Should I be quiet? Should I be next to, you know? And it's that kind of guide.
The ego confuse yourself, but it's also why I have made the curriculum like I have. Do a lesson at a time. Do what I'm asking you to do in the lesson, and you will be moved forward. The curriculum is made so if you start at lesson 1, you will wake up. You will have a full awakening of all 10 feathers if you do the curriculum, you know, as I'm asking you to do it.
Yeah,
I'm that autistic. So just, you know, do the lessons and it will happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about if, because I feel a blip around a bit.
It's fine. You can do that too. You can do
that. You know, like I'm not in one fetter. I feel like I'm dealing sometimes like they're swapping around a bit.
Yeah, it for some people that works. Just be aware if that is a diversion, you know.
Right, I see. Yeah.
I just want to double check. Do you mean you're flipping around in the videos from fetter to fetter, or that like during your daily life you feel like you are feeling fetter one?
A bit of both, really, to be honest. Yeah, a bit of both.
The feeling in life is absolutely normal, so don't be distressed or dissuaded by that. It's just
we are in all 10 feathers all the time.
Yeah, so like I always say, you know, it's recognizing that there's there is no internal self, which is at one particular rung on the ladder. You know, that would be indicating that there is a you there who is able to progress through the fetters and all of that. What we're experiencing is a, you know, the fetters are just an easy framework to look at to kind of put an experience into a box of understanding. And so if at this moment, it's like, you know, I don't feel a sense of distance, there's no, you know, feels like I'm sort of, there's no me here separate from anything else. Everything is just kind of appearing. We seem to be looking back as well as forward. That is a Fetter 6 experience. You know, that's what we talk about with that. It doesn't mean that that is going to be your permanent state for the rest of your life now. It just means that's what's happening right now. If you feel particularly identified later on in the day, there's a Fetter 1 experience. And each one just tips you off to the fact that now you can use the tools that you have to look at, okay, well, what is happening right here that feels like an embodied self at this moment? What is it that feels like there's a me here separate from that wall out there? And just being curious about the experience. But we want to make sure that we're not reifying the sense of self that is able to do the exercises in order and you know, go step by step up the ladder of enlightenment. And then, you know, so that's all I wanted to say about the totally.
Yeah, that thank you. That is useful because I don't think my brain works in a logical step-by-step order sometimes. And I also did AA for quite a few years, and they have 10 steps, and you can be on the 10th step, and then the next day you can be on step 1 again, in a sense, you know, like I know nothing and things. So it does feel very much like that. But I think when you've kind of seen over the mountain and had a glimpse, not for a little while, but for 6 months to a year, it's very hard to, like I've never really done self-inquiry unless it's been natural. I've never, because to me that's coming through the Tony Parsons. It feels like it's thought, asking thought a question. Yeah. I'm using a thought to ask another thought.
Yeah,
question.
Yeah. Oh, just got me activated here. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, push the button.
Yeah, though you just pushed the button. One of the dangers with that is that if you have experienced abuse, like you said, then you have firsthand in a period of your life where you were still forming a sense of self, that formation of the sense of self was abruptly stopped, which means that if you haven't got a sense of self, you cannot let go of the sense of self. There's a lot of people that have experienced abuse in their lifetime that have never had an experience of a sense of self. They go to Tony Parson and go like, well, I have never had that, and everybody applauding, and that's magnificent and wonderful, but it's not. You need to, in order to be a healthy human being, you need to have a strong sense of self. You need to have strong boundaries. You need to know self-care. You need to have self-love and self-worth. Those 5 points need to be in place before we let go of the sense of self. So,
and you know what? I totally agree with you. I've heard you say this just the other day, and I totally agree with that, because I in the last few years learning self-care and being a parent to myself for the first time. And I think I resonated so much in Tony Parsons because it's easier for me, probably because I've done so much disassociation, to go into no self. So that there's all that area that I want to speak about over the weeks, you know, like you know, I don't think I have had a strong sense of self, and I think that's why I found the Tony Parsons route easier. And I do find that questioning quite. I've just started to do it, and because the distance thing, really, I shouldn't be doing 6 Fetter, but there was just something in asking where's the distance that just attracted me. So it's the first sort of inquiry that has really stuck with me, but I probably shouldn't be doing that because I'm jumping 6 Fetter already.
No, it's fine. You can, if it again, just be aware of if it's a diversion or if it's actually helpful. If you have the feeling of, oh, finally coming home, then do that.
Yeah.
And also be
It
aware.
feels like effort to do it, but it does feel like it's pushing a muscle that's not been used. So I don't know, but I mean, it's early days. I don't want to take a board meeting with my stuff. Thank you. Anyway.
Of course. And I was just going to say, and just be aware when you're doing, especially the 6th Fetter one, if you do have, issues of never having developed healthy boundaries or something, you might notice a feeling of fear or pushback, or there's something, some emotionality arises that doesn't even allow that sort of collapse of distance to happen, because it really feels like it's encroaching on something. So then that's a good it's a good sign for you to go back then and then do the.
Yeah, that's I have an interview with Ted where he talks about that he realized that he had to do some trauma work, because when he came to the 6th Fetter, and it was about, not feeling a distance between the out there and the in here, he got really, really scared, because he had only had experiences of the out there being threatening. So he needed to go back to the 2nd Fetter and really work with the trauma part before he could realize that there can't be anything threatening out there and in here. It's just that there are no boundaries. But he needed to work with the trauma before he could let go of that.
Yeah, because it would be a bit raw otherwise, wouldn't it? Be a bit too raw to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think traumas, and something you mentioned there that I'll just mention quickly is I'm not very emotional. I used to be with my ex-husband, which was, but I'm not very emotional either. So I think there's a bit of a block there that I need to look into maybe. But anyway, I'm just going to end it there because I'll just go on forever.
Yeah.
I've got so many months that I want to.
Yeah, but as I said, remember that we have meetings, every week.
I'll be here every week. Don't worry.
Perfect.
I'm going to be on Vince's, yours.
Yeah. Good.
And just to clarify, this one is only every 2 weeks, but the Q&A on Friday
is every other 2 weeks.
Friday.
Every other Friday.
Every other Friday. So they stagger. So there's one meeting every week, either a Q&A or this one.
Oh right, yeah. I've got to join the membership, and I'll go on the Fridays as well to Pernille's.
Yeah. Just remember that this week we have this one, and next week we don't have a Q&A.
Yeah. Thank you, Leela, for reminding us, because we would have forgotten.
Yeah. So this week Tuesday, next week Friday.
Should be Friday, but it's no Friday. Yes.
We're actually we're gonna be off that week. So
okay.
But normally yes, this week Tuesday, next week Friday, week after Tuesday, and then Friday. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good seeing you. We'll see
Good to see you both. Lovely.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
That is Rosie.
Rosie.
So good to.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
I don't think I'm going to be able to express how deeply grateful I am to be here.
Thank you.
And I notice the tears are expressing it.
Yeah, it's nice.
So
it's okay.
You have created something that I guess I didn't even know was possible. The two of you have created a space and a community for something that my life has been completely dedicated to for 54 years. And I started this journey when I was like 14, 16. I started meditating. Thinking found everything. Similar journey to what Anne was just describing, and Anne and I found each other like 6 months ago in another community, and have noticed that we were at the same level of frustration and with everything that we've done, and so by the grace of God, I guess my sister-in-law shared one of the six Fetter videos with me, and I passed it on to Anne because I knew that we're on this similar trajectory.
Yeah.
So it's just so incredible that there is a community for this, and the depth of what you're teaching in this curriculum. I mean, I was just blown away. Like, there's a whole curriculum for this, and it's just like step by step. And my husband also loves it, so we're doing it together,
Oh,
which is
wonderful.
incredible. It's just
Yeah.
so incredible to be in this work, with him, because we haven't been able to. We started together 54 years ago, but we haven't been able to kind of find each other in it, in the last 20, 30 years or so. So I've been like Anne, like, is there anybody I can talk to about where I am? And then suddenly there was, even, Pernille, you keep saying to find a guide, which is what I want. And so I went to LU
Mm.
and I signed up, but they say there that you can't do any other programs while you're going through their guidance. And I want to stay in this program and do the retreat. So I didn't know that before I kind of signed up and read everything. But so that was one question I had, like what to do about that.
Yeah. To answer that, if you go to Vince's group on Saturdays, in his group, Vince started out by guiding on LU, and then he started to have so many people he was guiding, so he made a group where people come, and then there's guiding in the group, and it's a very open forum where everybody's guiding everybody. So it's very, very open. But there are guides there that has passed LU, and some of them are working with fetters. And when you're there, you can just hear them talk. And if there's any one of them that you resonate with, you can send them a message and ask if they want to guide you through the first fetter. But
Okay.
none of them, and even LU, do not work with the fetters. I really want, yeah.
Yeah. Did you actually get a guide so far with the LU?
No one's picked up my thread yet.
Yeah.
So but when they do pick up my thread, I feel like the first thing I want to tell them is I may not be able to do this because I want to, do the retreat and, and stay in this program. So
I
if
mean,
that's their requirement, I might not be able to
yeah,
go with that.
it's going to depend on the guide that you get as to how. I think because I also came through LU, I used to guide through there. So, and nothing that we do here is in contradiction to what LU does. It's just that LU only deals with first fetter, basically, and they don't go beyond that. And depending on who you get, there are some people who are into the fetters, some people who are
Very much against.
well, yeah, I was gonna say there's some people who are like, they know about them, but they're not like working with them a lot. And then there are a couple of people who are really antagonistic to the idea of doing anything beyond the scope of LU. And so they have an issue with any sort of furthering modality. So if you happen to get one of those people, again, what you get out of that is going to help you hopefully see through the first fetter, but then you can still continue doing what we're doing, because it's an add-on. It's like, once you finish LU, you would come do this stuff anyway. But it's really the reason that they say that, and I used to say the same thing when I was guiding through there, is just because you do get a lot of people who are doing like 5 different modalities at once. And so,
Astrology and
yeah, and like Advaita Vedanta, and they're like dipping into like Rupert Spira, and then also, you know, shamanism, and all these different things. And then they come in, and what the focus of LU is really using your direct experience to just see what is actually in front of you. Like, where is the self? What are all the aspects of control and agency and doership, and what feels like a self right in this moment. And it's just coming down to your direct experience to really see through that in all the different ways that you can. And if you're coming in with like a lot of, oh, but I'm also doing, meditation where I become one with the universe, and I do meditation where my spirit guides are talking to me, and I do, all these other practices, that's taking you away from the whole focus of just coming down to the practice of
to the
seeing it,
first fetter.
to the
Yeah.
first fetter. And so that's really why they say it. It's not because they shouldn't be like making you believe anything else or giving you any other agendas or anything like that. They just want to make sure that you're really focused on the task at looking in your direct experience and doing the inquiries that they give you, and that's it. And so we do this exact same thing. We just go beyond the first fetter. So there's
Yeah.
really no conflict there.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
Yeah, in our opinion, there's not a conflict.
Right, but well, I'll have to see if whoever picks up my thread,
Yeah.
what their opinion is, and then I'll, make a choice at that point.
Yeah.
And I was the one who asked about the schedule, but I also, and thank you for posting the whole schedule for me.
No problem.
And everyone, not just me. But the Vince's calls, I don't see where they are either.
No, Vince's calls you get a link to by writing an email to Vince. It's
Okay.
Vince
Okay.
at
Vince
vinceschubert@gmail.com. And then you just write to him, and he will forward links to you about his groups on when he's not working with the fetters either, but he knows us, and we love him, and he loves us, and and you also see him he's in the 3
I've seen
continents
him
of
a lot.
awakening. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've seen him a lot, and he does talk about fetters, and when he's speaking, at least the things that I have seen.
Yeah.
And because I have
thanks, Leila.
kind of been to the mountain and back, but now with working with the fetters, I feel like a newborn child. Like I'm like starting in areas that kind of like all of the meditating, and I mean I don't want to go into my history, but like transcendental meditation was my beginning when I was 16, and I became a teacher. It was my whole life, and I ran retreats and everything, but I continued. It seems like most other teachers just teach meditation, and that's going to be your path to enlightenment. And this path is so real and so authentic and so like real life. Like there are no airs, and there's just community and people, and I just got to the point where I just like I can't listen to any teacher anymore, that isn't like an everyday person like me. So I have so much gratitude for what you're doing, and the time that you put in to creating all of this. It's just beyond anything I ever imagined was that I could find, and I am so grateful, so grateful
happy
to
to
be
hear
here.
that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
So
you,
happy.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah. So happy you are here.
yeah, it's amazing. It really is amazing. So, and I'm so looking forward to the retreat. My siblings are giving it to me as a 70th birthday present. So
Oh, amazing.
Happy
it's,
birthday.
yeah, it's really sweet, really sweet.
And
I just wanted to say one thing about the exercise. And this is just an interesting observation that I didn't notice till the very end of the exercise, that I was only doing one eye. I wasn't doing two. And I was just like, when I tried to do two, it was like an effort. Because I was so focused on just the one eye and where it seemed to not be going smoothly.
I would love for you to tonight to close your eyes and sit and breathe, and then only focus on the other eye, and see if it goes
Okay.
like do like that, and just take, you know, one part of the eye smoothly and just sit and breathe into it and allow the body to move how it moves, and then you take the next, and you can take, like, you know, 5 minute on the clock, 5 minute intervals a day. So you get through the entire eye, because it is creating new pathways in the brain.
Okay.
So take your time with it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Love to hear next episode of that story.
Yeah. Thank you. I just feel like you know, we're at the beginning of a wonderful
Relationship.
experience
Yeah,
together.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say also, with LU, if you get a guide that for whatever reason you don't resonate with, or that seems to be, I don't know, whatever, you can always request a second guide or a different guide. You never have to just take who you happen to get.
And
Okay.
and because it's LU and people are not attached to a separate self, they're not going to get offended.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about that. So you cannot just ask
Okay.
for another guide and they will support you and find another one.
A lot of people have
Okay.
gone through multiple guides until
Yeah.
they find one that they really
Absolutely fine.
resonate with. So
Absolutely fine.
Mhm.
totally cool.
Thank you. I love you both so much.
Thank you so much. Thank
Mwah.
you, thank you, thank
Mwah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So nice.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, last
Right,
one.
last one.
Because you
Jen.
have
I do.
sessions shortly. Hello, Jen.
Hello. I can't.
Hello.
Hello.
Great to see you again. Great to be here. And look, yeah, it's morning for me, so I also need to get going shortly. And I'm not sure if this is now something that's a wee bit too big to get into, but it related very much to some of the previous stuff that was being spoken about. Last time I spoke to you, which was about 6 weeks ago, I think, I spoke about getting very nervous when I speak, and in particular instances. Well, I ended up resigning from my committee last week.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was actually really huge for me. In that particular meeting, on reflection on that, I felt like it was a really, really strong body no that I've actually been feeling for a very long time. But it's also hard to distinguish between, and I'm not sure what the difference is between like the aversion stuff. So there's a whole bunch of things, and I could tell you a whole raft of stories around the reasons why I may feel like, and it might be because I don't know enough, or because I'm talking to people who really disagree with me, or whatever, or if it's just a really strong thing of saying, my body saying, this is not the place for you. Which is in the end what I felt it was. Not that any of that actually matters in many ways, and I certainly don't want to find myself still talking about this. So I kind of want to, in fact, even a few minutes ago, I was like, not sure that I even really want to talk about this, because I know that there is such a lot of story involved. And just to say that I don't think that I have seen through self yet either. So, so I guess my question is about the difference between, you know, a body yes and a body no, and aversion. Are they the same thing? Yeah. And also that my emotions are really strong. Like, I'm not somebody who struggles to find emotions happening. They overwhelm me a lot. You know, that's probably a wee bit too too strong anyway.
Yeah. The difference between a body no and aversion is the attachment. For example, if I ask you, do you want to set your hair on fire? There's going to be a no. And there's not really any attachment to that no. It's just a like, no. You know, there's nothing more about that story. We don't even need to go into a debate about whether you should set your hair on fire. It's just like, no. That's a body no. If I ask you if you would like to let your neighbor move in and sleep on the couch for a week, there might be a body no as well. That's just like a hell no, not doing that. But there might also be stories attached to it. No, because he is or she is, and then a lot of stories about it. That's the difference. With the body no, there's no stories about it. It's just a very clear nope. So there's no attachment to it. There's no attachment for it not to happening because it's not even a topic to talk about. With the aversion, there's stories. And in every single little label and little story, there's a little bubble of identification that you can unpick and unpick, you know, pick apart and pick apart and pick apart. With the body no, it's just no.
Okay, yeah, that's clear to me that I was very, very attached to many of the things. I very much would have liked to have been able to let go of the attachments and bring something different into that meeting space. And that was for a long time, I kind of tried to use it as a pointer to myself about what I needed to work on. However, I also think that it was really damaging to me in the because where I now live is the general feeling around the place is quite different. I think that committee added to my sense of not belonging here, or finding it difficult to feel a sense of belonging. So, yeah, I suspect that it might have been a forum that was just a bit too intense to be able to do that work on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's difficult to do if you don't, like we just talked about with Rosie, if you don't have a community where you have somebody that you can talk to or write to on a daily basis and ping pong about, she said that, and then this feeling came up, and then the person will ask, okay, so look into the body. How did it actually feel? Can you be in a body and all of that? If you don't have that, then situations can be too much to deal with on your own. I absolutely agree with. I don't believe, however, that any situation is too big to deal with. But we can be in a place in life where we don't have the community, or we don't have the support, or we don't have the integral confidence in doing this, and then you obviously shouldn't. That would be, you know, crossing your boundaries and abusive and everything towards yourself. But for sure, this experience that you have with this community, it's a lot, and as a hologram, it reminds you of something that I would recommend you to look into, to write down all the things about it that you feel an aversion about. Look into where that comes from, because there's a lot of meat on it for you to work with. So in order for you not having to go back to a similar situation again, use the situation now that is still so alive in you that you use that to work with.
Yeah, sure. And is that in Fetter 1 stuff, lessons?
Sorry,
I'm
you
sorry,
broke
you
up
broke
there.
up.
Is in the lessons from Fetter 1, or you want that stuff to work, the lessons?
It broke up a lot. It was asking about, I think you said about listening to the Fetter 1 videos and working through Fetter 1 stuff.
Yeah, yes. Is that where I should be looking in order to work with that?
No, it would be Fetter 4 and 5.
Okay.
It would be, but to work with it in Fetter 4 and 5, I would recommend you to have someone to work with. So a guide to work with, or ping pong, for example, in Vince's group, or you know, you would need somebody to help you with it. But I'm not sure that you should unpack it yet until the first feather has fallen. What would you say?
Yeah, it's good to look into, but I think it is possible that it's gonna, when you don't have the identity of the first Fetter stuff still in play, then it's easier to have a more detached perspective on these things as they arise, and to have a bit more of a, there's less hooks to it. You know, there's still identification in 4 and 5, but it's
not
a lesser,
painful in
yeah,
the same way.
exactly. It's a different kind of identification.
It's not painful on a personal level, which means that Vince, he can say to you, you're just craving attention, and there's more a reflection of the words than there's a pain with it. That personalization is only happening when the first feather is still intact. When the first feather falls, there's nothing taken personal anymore. You're not taking things personal because there's nobody to take things personal. You know that it can't be taken personal ever, what anybody ever says, which means that it's easier for you to work with that huge issue that committee was for you. It's easier to work with that when the first feather has fallen. So I would recommend you to work with the first feather first, and then when that has fallen, then look at that committee and work with that. It might fall away with the first feather.
And also, throwing another possible stake in the wheel, because all of these things are so connected, even when you look at that, it might also bring you back to second fetter issues where you were really being activated in those situations because of some underlying beliefs or things that need to be worked out on kind of a second fetter level. So it could be a useful exercise to go through, like you said, the things that are sort of activating or triggering or problematic from being in, you know, having the role that you had, and then see where in those things it points to. Is it that you are having actual aversive issues to other people in the group? How does that relate back to you? Is it that it's bringing up, you know, when we talk about like a fear of public speaking, well, what is it that we are experiencing that fear about? Is it the outcome of not expressing ourselves a certain way? What is this bringing up for you that would be in like a Fetter 2 sense, where you have, you know, some fundamental belief about yourself that this is reinforcing. If you get up there and you can't, you know, express yourself correctly the way that you want to, or it's causing so much anxiety, what is get under the root of that? So that can be a pointer to look into what's behind all of this. And then also, while, as you said, working on the first fetter, to also undermine that sense that there really is somebody there who is getting up there in front of this group of people and who is under scrutiny and who has all the pressure of, because as I recall, you had said you were like the only person kind of giving this voice of the to the committee. So it's like all of the pressure of the world and the environment and everything is on your shoulders alone. And so being able to undermine that from all these different ways could be really enlightening for you. No pun intended.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. There definitely is a lot of stuff in the second fetter doubt. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go back and do them again, and I'll grab that vinceschubert@gmail.com, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's in the comments. Lila put it in the
Yeah.
comments. Vince's email is there.
Yeah, thank you again, Lila. I saw there was a comment that came up that had my name in it, but I didn't see what it actually said. I don't know if I have to respond to something.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's good seeing you.
Yeah,
thank you.
I just asked very quickly a question, Pernille, because I was a bit confused then because what it did sound a little bit like when you were talking about.
Oh, hold on.
Just remove our pin.
Okay, sorry.
When that was my comment at the end, because when you were talking about Todd not listening, it did sound a bit like you'd taken it personally. Was that different in your experience earlier when you thought, oh, he's not listening to me, and then you had a quick realization that it was you not listening?
No, it didn't feel personal at all.
Right.
I can see how that can be.
Yeah,
I can see how that can be heard like that. No, it didn't. No. Sometimes, no, that's a different topic. I'm thinking about they're not taking anything personal. That it sometimes can be like borderline, sociopathic. We don't take anything personal.
It just sounded to me like it was a thought that just ran through. Thoughts still happen, but you don't identify with them. So I think that's where you were coming from. That's the way I read it.
Yeah, it didn't. I understand what you're saying. It didn't feel personal at all.
Yeah, it's just I get quite a lot like that when I can realize something about someone and then flip it back to me. But I'm thinking I've taken it personally. Maybe I'm not taking it personally. If I can quickly flip it back.
Again, it's about the attachment. It's about the attachment and the identification. If there's an attachment, to Todd, he has to listen to me. I know I am right. He should, then there's something personal about it.
Yes,
if it's more a matter of factly, hang on, I'm speaking here, you're interrupting, I'm speaking here, then there's nothing personal in it. It's just matter of factly that I'm trying to get to say something, and that talking about dog grooming is not the topic we're talking about. I make you sound so bad. It's more like a matter of factly, and that was when the empathy needed to happen. I
get that now. Yeah, it's not so much a reaction, it's a quick realization and seeing of it.
Yeah, it's like if we're out driving and Todd asks, do we take a right or a left here? And I say, I like poodles more. There's not anything personal in it. It's just like, hang on, I asked you a question. Do we take a right or a left? It's like, there's nothing personal in it. It's just a very matter of factly. I think I'm getting tired.
Sorry, I get what you mean. I totally get it.
Perfect.
Thank you for saying that though, because I'd have gone away feeling Did you take that personally or not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Thank you.
that's super important for anybody here. If there's in anything that we say, anything we talk about, a feeling of ask a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't like to speak in public here, write to Todd. Yeah. Don't if you have any kind of feeling of like like something dissonant, ask and have it cleared out. We're completely fine answering all questions.
Yeah. And I have to say, we only because of what we were just talking about with Jen too, and since it's been coming up about the community thing, we had talked about starting a Discord thing, and we actually technically we started it. We just didn't actually give it to anybody yet, so it's not officially open.
It's also because we don't know how Discord works.
We really need to do some more of that. But
as technic savvy as you have experienced us here, even more on Discord, we rock.
But the thing is, the idea is we would like to have a place where everybody can kind of get together and chat
ask
amongst
questions,
themselves and have a
go into personal, into like a little breakout group where if you have a question, they talked about this identification, could somebody please guide me about it? And then somebody that wants to say something about it, but you want to talk about more personal on it, you can go into a little group, only the two of you, and talk. And that is possible on Discord.
And you can do text chats back and forth, but you can also do video things spontaneously. So you could like start, like say like, I want to go live now and talk to anybody about this who's around. You can just say I'm going live, and you can send that notification out to anybody on the group that you want to. And then if they're interested, they can come join your little video chat,
your little
video chat or audio chat.
Improv meeting. If anybody want to do an improv meeting of I really would like to talk about this identification thing. Does anybody else want to go live? And then you just go live and have a little improv meeting about that topic. And we put everything in place for it to happen. We
just haven't actually made it.
Haven't actually done it yet.
And I was thinking about with Jen, when you said about having somebody with a 4 or 5 thing to do it with, you know, rather than having to like go and find like a guide that you're like doing. I think we really should make it. That's why I was bringing up
the Discord.
I think we're going to do that. So my what I was going to say is, if you would like to be added to the Discord, email me and I will in the coming days or weeks, depending, hopefully coming days, I will send you an invite to it. Thanks, babe. I will send you a link to it, and then we can kind of get it going from the ground up. And then
all of us can be absolutely confused about Discord together.
It's actually very simple, the layout of it. I know there's things that you can do that we haven't looked into yet to get like the full impact of it. But as far as like the actual signing up, chatting back and forth in the different little pages and starting like a video chat, super simple. So if you want to be added, write to unfetteredmindfulness@gmail.com, and then Todd will add you to the Discord group. And that way there, if anybody has like 4 or 5 issues that they want to ping back and forth with somebody else, you can just do it.
We can can we make like first 3 fetters? It's already done, isn't it?
That,
first 3 fetters, 4, 5, and so there's like topics that you can ask the questions in, and then the answers will be in those specifically. If that makes sense.
So that's coming. So feel free to write me.
In an hour.
Done. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
We have to go.
Toddy has consultation. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been amazing.
So
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And remember, I just want to say, next week, remember, thank you, Lila, that there's not a Q&A on Friday. No Q&A on Friday. So next time we meet is Tuesday, the week after. So in 2 weeks here, same place.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Make a donation.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you.
Bye.